Welcome to the Seireitei, a Bleach Fandom community podcast brought to you by the Gentei Rain Service Department, who are sponsoring this episode in the hopes that it will make up for their appalling tardiness to authorise Gentei Kaijo. Souls might die, but they need to take a nap. So, my name is Lethan, and today I'm joined by Nomi.
Hiya, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, Nomi?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah, not too bad.
Good. We're recording this episode on a Saturday morning. It's like 10:30 in the morning on Saturday the 7th. We are aware that there is a chapter coming out in the upcoming Shonen Jump, which is on the 10th, I believe. Nomi, is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have been doing our utmost to avoid all spoilers. So we may or may not put an episode out for it depending on the content of the chapter, and if you didn't know, the chapter will already be out by the time this episode comes up. So hopefully it's good. Like I'm praying for future us that it's a good chapter. You know?
Yeah, me too. I've seen people's reactions and they seem positive, I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, and you've avoided all spoilers?
Yep.
Oh, you're doing really well because you've opened Twitter a couple of times by accident, haven't you?
I have. I've now since deleted it off my home screen, and if I want to go to Twitter, I have to go type on my phone and search for Twitter. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. Actually, it's a really good idea. Cool. Well, we've got 2 episodes to cover as well. So, will we jump into them?
Yes, we shall. Okay then, so after 4 minutes of previously on Dragon Ball Z, we finally get into Bleach episode 120, Hitsugaya Scatters, the Broken Hyonmaru, where we find out that during Ikaku's fight with Edrad, Captain Hitsugaya and Renji have also been fighting and have already gone Bankai. Things seem tough for Renji until Uru, one of the children who lives with Urahara, steps in and gains the upper hand, completely wailing on this Arrancar. I mean, do not take this child's lunch money, because she's going to get it back. She seems to be having the upper hand, that is, until Ilfort Grant releases his Zanpakuto. The act of which is noticed by Xiaolong Kufang, who is fighting Hitsugaya. He also notes that Hitsugaya's Bankai is looking a little wilted, if you pardon the pun, with 9 out of his 12 petals disintegrating, leaving Xiaolong to theorize that when all petals are gone, Hitsugaya's Bankai is done. After he too releases his Zanpakuto, he reveals that he is the 11th Arrancar, but is not the 11th strongest. Only the top 10 are ranked by strength and all others by birth. Meanwhile, Rangiku, who at first glance lies defeated, finally gets an answer from the Soul Society with the permission to lift their power limiters.
And that brings us into episode 121, Clash, the Protector versus the Bearer. After taking the time to kindly explain the Gentei Kaijo release to their opponents, hashtag exposition, we find out that they're now 5 times stronger than they were before. They easily take down their opponents after activating the restriction lift on their power, but we can clearly see how close the battle was as Captain Hitsugaya falls from the sky badly wounded. Meanwhile, Ichigo is getting brutally toyed with by Grimmjow JAEGERJAQUEZ, one of the best names in the whole of Bleach for a Scottish person to say. Grimmjow isn't happy when Tozen shows up to spoil his fun, demanding that he returns back to Lord Aizen for his punishment. Saved by the Tozen much, Ichigo? That's what I'm probably going to call this episode. It's either going to get called Grimmjow JAEGERJAQUEZ or it's going to get called Saved by the Tozen. I've not decided yet.
I love it. That's great. And yeah, it's like, you want to make a pun of toes and tosin, and I can't think of one at the moment. Or the skin of his toesen? I don't know, yeah.
But the skin of his toe, that is gross. I just got mental images of Tozen's feet. It's not really something I can think about. Anyway. We should probably discuss the episodes.
We should. I mean, not much happened. We didn't get much information. It was just all fights, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's fine. Let's just make this a whole episode of us saying Grimmjow's name.
I mean, I can start with my fun fact about Grimmjow.
Go for it.
So, Grimmjow JAEGERJAQ is actually named after a architect.
Oh.
And in fact, the majority of the Aranka, and we learned, and no, not the Aranka, like we learned this new word today, of Espada, and the majority of the Espada are actually named after architects.
That's
But
so strange, but yeah, keep
yeah,
going.
so Grimmjow is, I'm trying to find where I wrote it. So his first name stems from that of Nicholas Grimshaw, an English architect, and his last name, JAEGERJAQUEZ, comes from a Swiss watch and clock manufacturer called Jaeger Le Couture, but it's because it's like Swiss French, it's more like Jaeger Le Couture,
Ah.
which made me think that, you know, if we're going with the French theme for his last name, because I've always struggled to pronounce Grimjaw's last name, and for a while I went Jaegerjak because it reminds me of a Jaeger bomb. But with this whole a new kind of learning of that his name comes from a Swiss watch and clock manufacturer, I was like Jaeger Jacques. So I was like, bonjour, je m'appelle Jaeger Jacques. And
Oh
yeah,
my god, I am
having
not
Grimmjow in a
pronouncing
French
it that
accent was
way.
funny. But I just thought that was like a really cool kind of bit of trivia that Grimmjow and in fact some of the other people that we're going to be meeting, including Ulquiorra, who we've already met, are named after architects.
That is pretty cool. I did not know that. That's awesome. Hopefully that has inspired, our listeners into looking into the names of more Bleach characters. It certainly has with me. Uh,
Yeah.
and on that note, actually, just a little reminder that Rukia's name is not Japanese. So,
No.
I'm hoping that something like that might be mentioned in upcoming media. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. Hopefully.
Okay, so Renji is fighting, and I had to write down how to pronounce this guy's name. It was Ilford, right?
Yeah.
Ilford, yeah. Because that wasn't how I was going to pronounce it when I first saw how it was spelled. And he is. I've got a note here, right? I don't know if I should bring this up or if this is just going to totally spiral the episode, which is already going way out of control. But Ilford says that Renji's Bankai uh, is fast and impressive considering its size. And I was like, he just said that Renji has a big one. That's what my note says.
Oh, that's funny. I mean, it's fast and it's big and it gets the job done, kind of.
So it's good to know. Renji's big but fast, so it depends on your preference.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Dale's going to listen to this episode and they're just going to be like, oh, for God's sake, this is what happens when I'm not part of the bloody podcast episode. But yeah, anyway, it was just really interesting. Obviously, we come in and these characters have already gone Bankai, which for me is like a big surprise that they've already like gone for their highest level of power output and they're still struggling at this point. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, what's going to happen here?
There's a lot of like kind of trying to figure out the power levels of everyone because you've got Renji who's in Bankai and is struggling. But then you've got this small child, Uru, coming in and gaining the upper hand. Like, literally, before Ilfort releases his Zanpakuto, it could be like she was winning.
Yeah, she was.
And I don't know if that's because maybe she got the upper hand and he was just, like, caught off guard by the fact that this 11-year-old is attacking him, or however old she is. Or if there is something more to Uru that, doesn't exactly meet the eye. We've seen them fighting hollows before.
I think that the second is true because I think if this Arankar or knew that he had the power to be able to stand up to that kick that Ururu put on him, he wouldn't have released anything. He wouldn't have felt the need to release his power, but he did, so he knew that she was a bit of a threat. But this brings up like I've got this in my notes is like Ururu's attack. Like holy shit! Do we have to like talk about the whole child like soldier thing? Like that's like we don't know where Ururu and Jinta came from. They just sort of appear, and I'm
Yeah.
wondering like I don't know if like like a child soldier type program was ever potentially invented or was talked about, and maybe that's where they come from.
I think, yeah, I think it's safe to say that these two, they're not just humans that
Definitely not.
Kisuke and Tessai just adopted to make it seem like they're this happy little world of the living family with nothing suspicious going on at all. I do think that maybe there is something about them.
Hmm.
Because Jinta said something, because he sees that Uru's got this kind of like glazed look in her eyes. She's almost as if she's sleepwalking or in a trance.
Hmm.
And he says that the Arankar's spiritual pressure is affecting her. And it's
Yeah.
almost as if he knows this, and he, like, not that he expected it, but he kind of knows that she's got this hidden power. And that's why he's trying to stop her, because he's got that kind of insider knowledge.
Yeah, and it's how she spoke as well. She was like must protect, and it was very robotic almost, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's almost as if like the Arankar's spiritual pressure just flicked a switch in her, and she just went into, as you say, kind of like robot protection mode instead of robot innocent mode.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Mm.
But whilst that's happening, we get Akon, who's back in the 12th Division, saying we need that authorization, which is our first indication, if you're paying attention, that they're waiting for something.
Yeah.
And certainly, I'm going to have a tiny mini rant here, right?
Okay.
This will come up later in my like ships. I think it comes up in my ships. But there are a lot of Bleach critics out there. I remember watching like a lot of YouTube videos whilst I was waiting for like any news of the anime returning. Like, see, when I had binged Bleach and it had finished for me, and I was
Mm.
devastated. And obviously, you like people like us, in the fandom community side, we cling on to anything to keep that alive, which is like fandom, fan fiction, cosplay, role play, art, anything like that, just to try and keep it alive when you finish something that you genuinely love. And so I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos, and I remember like coming across one that was like I can't remember what it was titled, but it was something like why Bleach failed or why Bleach wasn't good. It was one of those types of critic videos, and I remember like every single thing. And this video had a lot of likes, and there was only a handful of Bleach people on it that were like standing up for points. But this video was like pointing out that like, oh, they just pull power changes out of their arse. And look, yeah, okay, there are moments where that happens, but I feel like it always gets explained. And one of the ones, and this is where I had to pause the video because I was raging at him, and I had to like comment in the comments like, "Oh my god, did you even watch the same program as me?" Where he was like, "Yeah, so like they just pull this Gentei Kaijo thing out and blah blah," and I'm like, they did not pull that out their arse for this episode. If you've been paying attention, Renji speaks about it when he goes to the world of the living to fight Ichigo, and then when they're fighting each other inside the Soul Society, he talks about this. I
Mm.
don't know if it gets named as such, but he does say that when we go to the world of the living, we get a restriction put on us that cuts our power by X amount. He's already told us this. So I'm
Yeah.
like, do people just, like, the critics, in quotation marks, critics, not actually pay attention to the shit they're meant to be watching? Anyway, rant over.
But yeah, I mean, it is definitely that we may have forgotten about it. Like I'd forgotten about it until you
Yeah.
mentioned it, but it has been mentioned, and like this is the point where we're finally getting like we're finally seeing that okay, no, Hitsugaya and Renji aren't struggling; they're just fighting at a much lower like level than they should be allowed to.
Hmm.
Should be
Totally.
able to. So if this fight was happening in the Soul Society, it probably would have gone a lot different.
Yeah, absolutely. They would have been demolished within seconds if it was in the Soul Society.
Hmm.
Home turf and all that as well. But yeah, anyway, just like if you're going to critique something, make sure you get your points right. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're fine because we fangirl all over most of the stuff that we talk about. So
We do. So, here's some food for thought for you then.
go for it.
Would you
What's
say
food?
that Ururu is the same level as Shikai Matsumoto and Shikai Rukia? As because those two characters both defeated their Rancor with their Shikai without their Rancor being released, basically.
I think that's a fair point to make as an assumption. It's very hard to judge Bleach's power levels, isn't it? Because it isn't always just about the power, it's also about the technique and the skill.
Yeah.
And I think in that side, I think Rangiku and Rukia would both have her beat. Not that they would ever fight a child anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another reason why I thought maybe the child soldier thing was created for a reason, is because certain people would not want to fight. But
Yeah.
I think power scale wise, you're probably about right, actually, yeah. Although it didn't seem like Rukia and Rangiku were particularly trying, and it didn't really seem like Ururu was particularly trying either. So I wonder if, if everybody was fighting at max, we would probably see things slightly different. Plus, we have to remember that Rukia and Rangiku had Gentei Kaijo still to be activated at that point.
Don't.
Well, Rukia didn't.
I was gonna say, well, I don't think Rukia would have. But yeah, specifically Rangiku. I think it also depends on who they're fighting as well. Like, what's his name that Rukia fought? Was it Deroy?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I seem like he could have been a little bit more stronger than, say, Nakim, who Rangiku fought. We didn't see much of Nakim's. We didn't see anything of Nakim. He just got one hit KO'd.
Yeah, he was just there.
He's
He just
very
existed.
unforgettable.
You mean forgettable?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's so forgettable, yeah, he's unforgettable.
Yeah, that, yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, but yeah, you're right. I think without being able to see everybody at their max powers, it's very, very hard to judge that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good food for thought. I like it.
Yeah.
I I laughed and I took this as a note here where it was like Tashiro's like flower petals were disintegrating and the Arankar is basically explaining his own power back to him.
How did this
I was like,
Arankar
did
get
this
all this informed knowledge of Bankai?
I'm like, did this Arankar just like mansplain back to Tashiro his own powers, but like
Oh my
Arankar
God, he totally
splain?
did.
It's Tashiro's face because he doesn't confirm or deny anything. He just like stares at him, and I'm like, yeah, same Tashiro. I'd be like that too.
Yeah.
It's like somebody coming out and just be like, well, did you know that when your period starts, you blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, okay, mate, whatever. Like, he's young and he's not fully developed yet, and Tashiro's just like, mate,
Yeah.
seriously.
It does make me wonder though if Toshiro knows what happens. Like, has Toshiro ever been in that situation where he's fighting and he has lost that many petals before? Like, it gave me like that question. Does Toshiro know what's gonna happen?
Yeah, interesting.
That was my thought. Yeah.
Yep. That's a good point. I think, I do you know what? Toshiro did something in that moment that I was so proud of him for, because it doesn't happen a lot in Bleach. He kept his mouth fucking shut about his power. Like, he just kept it shut. He didn't then have to go, well, like, just sit down, let me put my monocle on and explain my entire power to you.
Yeah, I think some captains, or like some people at least, need to take a lesson from
Yes.
Toshiro.
For
Sit
the love
down,
of
it's
God, please.
How not to explain your powers 101 with Hitsugaya Toshiro.
Do you know, and yeah, honestly, please, can that happen? Because see, like me and Swift are obviously watching it through still at the moment, and we now have just got that as a running joke of, oh, here comes the explanation. Like, it's just like the thing that's happening. So yeah, we're going to see that a lot going forward. But yeah, I'm really pleased that Toshiro in this moment decided, no, I'm keeping my mouth shut. This guy's just being a dick. I also wanted to point out as well, again, this is me just teasing Bleach, because we're a fan, we critique it because we're fans, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's coming from a place of love. But I will say, in Bleach, the bad guys seem allergic to delivering finishing blows. Like, I think if they tried to deliver a finishing blow to an opponent, it's like something physically stops them. Maybe it's Jesus or something, I don't know. But like, they just seem incapable of delivering that final attack that will actually kill them.
Yeah.
And I think we saw that with a few of the Rankar here, where we've got Xiaolong in particular against Toshiro, where he's like, he slashes him. He had plenty of opportunity to just end him, and he didn't.
No, he had to step back and admire his handiwork for a second.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of Xiaolong and liking to talk, though, we did get some kind of interesting information from him.
Mm-hmm.
With the whole, because he announces himself as he's the 11th Espada. And Toshiro asked a very good question. Good job, Toshiro. If that means he's the 11th strongest. And he's not. He is just the 11th born. And that only the 10 before him get ranked as strongest.
Yeah. So that makes you wonder then, was he firstborn and it number starts at number 11? Because otherwise would a Rancor number start at 1 if it was firstborn? But that would then tie into the Espada? I don't know.
Yeah.
Shiro should have asked more questions. But I do like that he asked a question to buy time. Very clever. That's us seeing how clever he is.
Yeah. But this also kind of links back to a couple of episodes ago when Toshiro is explaining the Arancars to Ichigo, you know, when they're all sitting in his bedroom. And he states that they're in trouble if Aizen's created at least 10 Arankar. But we've kind of got this confirmation that, you know, there's at least 6 Arankar here right now, but there's 10 Espada before him who are so much more powerful than this one Arankar.
Very true. Good point.
So, do we now take this as, oh crap, Aizen's won, we're screwed?
Yeah, I think it definitely puts us in a detrimental position, isn't it? Because he did say about the 10, if there was more than 10. But the good news is, I suppose, it's kind of, I guess, slightly even-ish, just because we see that obviously this 11th Rancor got, and his colleagues got defeated so easily, so we're left to assume that the big threat are the 10.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to be our big threat.
And we did see that a little bit of threat with Ichigo not being able to defeat Grimmjow, who was Espada number 6.
Yeah.
So he's the 6th strongest, and Ichigo really struggled. And Ichigo's not got any kind of limiter on him. He's not inhibited, but like Renji and Toshiro was. He was fighting at full strength.
I would counter that actually, because I think Ichigo's limitations he's placing on himself because he's scared of the hollow inside him. So I don't think he's fighting at full.
Because he does mention that whole... Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. No, yep, good point.
And there is a little scene that happens in the next episode when we come to discuss the next episode that I really need to stress about, so I'm excited to bring that up, but that ties into that point. But yeah, you're right, this whole like 10 Espada, like this information is crucial. And like, good job Toshiro, you know, like good job for asking questions and just being a really good facilitator there. He knew that he was going to win that fight, he just needed to buy time, so whilst he was at it, he's going to extract as much information, and this Rancor thinks that he's got the battle won, so he's quite willing to give information. So, yeah, did love that. And then I've just got the notes on the Gentei about the placed on lieutenants and captain.
So do I, because it's funny, because I found something on Tumblr the other day before I started watching the episode, and it's just so coincidental that it popped up on my Tumblr dashboard at the same time as I was round about the same time I was watching this episode.
What was it?
So it's by someone called Polinaya on Tumblr, and they also write really good write on Fix on AO3, and it's all about the placement of where the Gentei Reien is. So it starts off with Akon's like, okay, where do you want it? And Rengoku's is like, tits please. Renji's like, also tits. And Toshiro's hesitant, he doesn't want to say it. So then all the others are like, oh, Ruki is like, oh, I don't get one, but I would go for tits. Ikaku starts to open his mouth, and Renji's like, if you say a single word, I will end you. Ikaku then says, I was just going to throw in my support for the titties, and Yumichika's like, I would go for the ass. And then Toshiro's like, fine, tits.
Yeah, Toshiro's like, I do not want to have to flash my ass in battle to explain to my opponent this whole power regime thing, so that's funny.
Yeah.
That's really good. God, I love little comics and things like that when people go out their way to create them, because they're obscure, they're funny, they just make you laugh, you know?
Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah, let's just pretend it was Rangiku who decided where it was going to go, because it does seem like her kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Also, I just want to give a little shout out to the end of this episode, because the end of this episode, as they were like showing off their titties, their little Gentei Rain stamps, the end music is the same as our podcast intro music.
I did notice that. I was like, oh, yay.
Go us! We survived a year.
It's funny though, because we were like, I was thinking about the time it took them, because we've got that whole thing with Akon saying, oh, we need to wait for permission, and then Rankiku's playing dead this whole time as they're waiting for permission, and I'm like, I wonder where this permission came from. So I'm like, oh, maybe it came from Sentinel 46. And then my sister's like, Sentinel 46 is dead. I was like, well, that's why it took so long. They had to go hire 46 other people just to make this one decision.
Do you know what though? Maybe you're right. Maybe that's why it did take so long, was because of the breakdown in Central 46. But I thought that Toshiro had explained to us, or Renji, maybe it was Renji, explained that because Central 46 are all deed, that all authorization is going through Yamamoto right now.
Yamamoto was having a bath. So.
Yeah. As I was thinking, I was like, oh gosh, that's why he decided to sponsor this episode of the podcast, so that he could gain back like some trust from the watchers, I think. Oh, that's good fun. I think the biggest surprise for me this episode, because obviously this kind of went the way that I thought this episode would. You know, the good guys win in the end.
Yes.
But the biggest surprise for me was definitely Ururu. That was a surprise.
It was, yeah, and just there's just something about it kind of haunting to see this child take on this full-grown Ivanka who a lieutenant was struggling with. It's very kind of haunting and eye-opening, and you wonder what exactly Kisuke has been up to.
Yeah, it's always Kisuke. He's always up to something.
Oh, yes.
And it doesn't even have to be something that, you know, would be considered legal. I don't think he cares. Look what he did to Rukia.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, at this
shit.
point, he's a law unto himself.
Yep. But that's all my notes for episode 120.
Yeah, I've only got manga anime differences left.
Let's go.
Okay, so the scene with 12, you know how we have that little cut to Akon and he's like, oh, when are they going to give us that permission? That's anime only.
Okay. I'm glad they had that though. I think that's just extra incentive, extra reminder to the audience.
Although I did think, I was like, I did get a little bit confused about what permission he was waiting for. Like, I thought he was waiting for Rangiku to call in with the permission, and he was, like, ready to give the permission. But then, after, like, seeing Rangiku at the end, and seeing that she was faking, and then waiting, it was a case of, they had asked permission, 12 had passed the permission on, and they were just waiting for Yamamoto to get out of the bath, and give them that permission, so...
I love how we've just defaulted to Yamamoto was in the bath.
Yes.
Yep.
There was, of course, that whole extra bit with Renji and having help. He don't need your help. He got this.
Yeah.
With the little mod souls. Renji doesn't actually know who Jinta and Uru are. Whereas in the anime, he tells Jinta, he's like, Jinta, get away, and he, like, knows their name. Whereas when Uru first turns up, he's like, oh, who's that girl? So he doesn't know who they are, and that's probably a side effect of the filler episodes, because they met in the filler episodes, whereas in the manga they haven't officially met yet.
Yeah, that makes sense, because that also ties into the manga and anime differences I did a few weeks ago, where it was like Renji was waiting outside the Urahara shop, and Urahara was not interested in him.
Yeah. And then in the anime, it's just it's just a little detail, and it's probably just an animation error. But when you get that pan of Toshiro in Bankai, he doesn't have his little dragon feet. He's just got his normal feet.
Oh, they left out the dragon feet.
No, yeah, left out the little dragon feet. I was like, oh.
Do you know, I almost took a note of Toshiro whipping Shilong? Xiaolong, thank you. Toshiro whipping Xiaolong with his tail, and I was going to be like, I whip my tail back and forth, I whip my tail back and forth. Yeah, that's
Yes.
gonna get us a poor rating on iTunes. I don't care. It's funny. Yeah, that's
Yeah, but that's it. There was like these episodes are pretty loyal. It's just like little bits and
the bloody mod soul people. That
mod
just need to
souls
fuck
and
off
flowing from previous seasons. Yeah.
now.
It's
Yeah.
fine. They'll be gone soon. Hopefully.
Thank God. Cool, well let's jump into episode 121 then, which was Clash, the Protector versus the Bearer. We got a new intro song.
We did. That was a surprise.
Mhm.
I wasn't expecting that. I was like, oh, because like the previous one's like one of my favorite ones, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, agreed. The last one was my favourite as well, one of my favourites, and this one
Yeah.
was Alones by Aqua Times. So, it's okay. I just feel like they're taking these mod soul characters that they created to try to shove them down our throat.
Mhm.
Like, because they're like right at the beginning of this intro as well, and I'm like, can they just be done now? Like, can they just
Yeah.
go away? You know?
There was quite a few spoilers in the opening as well, so if you are watching this for the first time with us, don't watch the openings.
Yeah,
Or
don't
the
pay
endings.
too much attention. Like,
Yeah.
you can
Close your eyes
gloss
and listen
through
to
it.
the music.
Ah, yeah. We get the explanation from Renji in this episode that their power was limited by about 80%, and that they're now 5 times stronger.
Yeah.
So
Did anyone else want to shout like Moon Prism Power makeup when they were all like Gentei Ran? Like, I don't know, it felt very Sailor Moonish and transformation-esque.
it does, doesn't it? Yeah, you're right. Bleach needed their own version. That's what it was. They needed
Yes.
their own. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Arankar speak about their flash step equivalent called Sonido.
Sonido?
Sonido. That's it. It's Spanish, isn't it? And it's
Yeah.
Spanish for the word sound.
Ooh.
Sonido. And that makes me wonder: is it meant to be a reference to like traveling at the speed of sound? Does that give us an indication of their speed? Maybe.
Oh, maybe. But does that mean then that if you travel at the speed of light, you're faster than an Aranka? Or did I just get my
Yes.
science facts completely
No,
messed up?
no. You're right.
Okay.
You're right. Sound is much slower than light. Light travels much faster. Because
Yeah.
I think that's the thing about Sonic, isn't it? And that's what makes Sonic so OP is that he travels at the speed of light. I'm sure.
Yes.
Let me double check that fact before I go put my foot in it, and all the Sonic fans are like, "No, he doesn't." Okay, so at his fastest, Sonic can run so fast that they can restore the fabric of time and space itself, making both versions of his top form massively faster than the speed of light. That's why Sonic is so OP. Anyway, so what we're saying is if Sonic came in here...
So if we had Sonic and Aranka and let's say Yoruichi, because she is the fastest at
Yeah.
Shumpo, who would win? That's our question of the day for you guys. Put it in the comments below. Who would win in a race between Sonic, Yoruichi, and Aranka?
Genuinely, I think it would be Sonic. Like, I genuinely do. I feel like Sonic is to speed what Superman is to power.
Yes.
Like, you put Superman in a battle with anybody and he will win unless they have kryptonite. That is just the whole thing about Superman. He is undefeatable unless you have kryptonite.
Yeah.
Whereas Sonic is like that, but with speed. Like, he is just ridiculously fast. Anyway, yeah, so we get the Shinigami version of this is Shunpo, or if you're watching the dub, it's called Flash Step.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is all equivalent and ties into the Quincy technique, which is Hiru Kyaku.
Yes.
Hiren Kyaku.
Yes.
The Quincy technique of Hiren Kyaku.
I googled it yesterday, but yes.
Yes, so these are all roughly, and I guess each of these are just the name of the technique. That doesn't say that you're that fast. Like, for example, Shunpo used by Ichigo is vastly different to Shunpo used by Yoruichi. Like, Yoruichi is so much faster than your average Soul Reaper who uses Shunpo, so I'm inclined to believe that the same would be said for the Arankar, the Espada, the Quincy's, etc. It depends on the user, would depend on how fast they go.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Because I think, like, you can equivalent to, you've got the different levels of Kido, like, different people are, you've got Momo, who's so much better at Kido than Renji, so you're going to have people who are so much better at Shunpo. They all have their kind of, like, specialities.
Yeah. And then you've got Rukia, who, despite her brother being a Kido expert, or Kido master, I should say, she still only uses the same one fucking Kido over and over and over and over again.
Bless her. We'll give her a
Anyway.
Kido book for her birthday. It's fine.
Yeah, I think it's worse in the filler than it is in the actual canon episodes, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We've got some Bankai techniques incoming in these episodes as well. We get Toshiro, which is Ryu Senka, which is a Hail Flower Dragon technique that he uses, and then we've also got a technique from Renji, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this the first time we see this technique from Renji? Which is Hikotsu Taiho? Hikotsu Taiho?
I believe so, because I don't remember him using it.
He definitely didn't use it with Byakuya.
He didn't know. I'm on his page now.
And I don't think we saw him fight really anybody else except for Aizen when he was trying to get away, but that wasn't really a fight, was it? He used something there where his sword went under the ground and came up. He used a technique.
Yeah, no, this is the first time. Bleach Anime, episode 121.
Awesome. So because of that, I'm just thinking like this gives us a kind of time frame for how long it takes you to start to develop your technique in Bankai. So I'm assuming that Renji has been obviously training really hard behind the scenes before he came here. And it was, a couple of weeks or something? Is that right? Because it was over their summer holidays. It was through their summer holidays that they infiltrated the Soul Society. And then they went back to school. And it was pretty much the first day or first couple of days back at school that the Arankar attack.
Yeah. But a Japanese summer holiday isn't as long as a UK summer holiday.
Oh, is it not?
No,
okay.
Because their school year starts in April. Right. So I think their summer holidays is like only a month because it's not as if they're starting a new year like we would.
Right, gotcha. So it's even less time then. So he's managed to develop this technique of his Bankai in, a couple of weeks then?
Yep, I'm just fact checking. Summer vacation covers 40 days from like July 20th to August 31st. So it's like, yeah, they've only really got like a month or so.
There you go, the more you know. Yeah. But yes, this was a new technique from Renji, so I just thought that was cool. Like, we get a rough idea, at least roughly, of how long it took him to develop this new technique of his Bankai.
Mm-hmm.
And then it makes you wonder, how many more techniques can a Bankai do? Or do you just do something flashy with it, call it a technique, and give it a name? Like, is it?
Yeah, like, are they all one-trick ponies, or do they have more up their sleeves?
and then you're like, Ichigo's is obviously speed, but we've not seen him, other than obviously Getsuga Tensho. We've not seen him come up with anything else. Whereas we saw a lot from Byakuya in Byakuya's fight. He had a few different techniques.
He did, but I think it makes me think as well, because Renji at the end of his fight, he's like, that was tough, I don't know if I could have managed it. So it's a case of like, they had gone Bankai at the start to kind of like keep themselves going, keep themselves alive, give them that little bit of extra boost they needed to survive until they got that permission. But had they had that permission beforehand and they went in at full power, I think, at least from Hitsugaya's point of view, he wouldn't have struggled as much. Renji probably might have still struggled a little bit because of how new his Bankai is.
Yeah, they would have struggled, and certainly it doesn't undo any damage that has been done, which would make you think that the authorization for something like Gentei Kaijo should come through fucking fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you're putting your best soldiers out there, and you know that there's a threat like the fucking Arankars hanging around that tarnished Ichigo, you know what I mean? Like, you would think, maybe we should, be on call for Gentei Kaijo to be,
especially
authorized.
Because they've already had to give permission to extend the area of whatever that thing was from that Yumichika asked.
Yeah.
So then maybe that's like a sign of, if Yumichika is asking for this, then maybe the captains and the lieutenants are going to ask for this later. We should be on standby for this and have it ready, like, preemptively.
Yeah, 100%. And it just is like, Why did I not think of that? Okay, whatever. Whatever. It's like, it's just two lieutenants and a captain. We don't care if we lose them. Like, what? Ugh, anyway, yeah. So I had that as my notes, like how close they all came to fucking dying. This whole society really need to activate Gentei Kaijo faster. What the fuck? That was my notes.
Yeah. And it's also kind of good to highlight, again, we have that highlighting of the difference between a captain class Shinigami and someone who was just a third seat. Like, even though Ikkaku is named as the second strongest in his division, his fight went so much differently than Renji's and Toshiro's once they had their limiter. And he was never limited. Like, Ikkaku was always fighting at full power.
That's a really good point. That is a really good point. And he nearly got taken down even when he had his Bankai.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you're right. So that just brings to light the difference in power of Renji and Rangiku and Toshiro then. And also as well, it's really interesting because obviously we know that Renji was trained by Ikkaku. We got that in the flashbacks in the last episodes. So
the
case to be
the
argued
student
for
has surpassed the master.
Yeah, it seems that way. Okay, so we finally get introduced to Mizuho. Is that right? Mizuho.
Yeah, Keigo's sister.
Yes, Keigo's sister Mizuho makes her appearance, her debut, and she takes a liking to Ikkaku.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
You have to laugh at, like, Yumichika's just in the background going...
Yeah.
You can kind of think he's, like, going, hands off my man, or whatever.
Honestly, it's,
or maybe he's just used to it.
It's just the way that Ikkaku looks when she looks at him, like, because he's rough and tumbled and he's, like, bruised and bloodied, but the minute she looks at him, he's, like, this beautiful... I don't know how to describe it, like, princess type. Ugh. It's just funny. It made me laugh. It did make me laugh.
That also, like, the whole Ikkaku's looking all bloodied and everything. It's interesting to see that when he's now in a Gigai. So we kind of know that from Ichigo's point of view, injuries that happen on the soul reflect that on his, like, actual body.
Yeah.
But these Gigais, they're just... they're just vessels for them to put their soul in. They're not, like, connected. So the design choice and the science behind it is that they've kind of got the same bonding between a human soul and an actual body, and then this soul in this plastic receptacle, whatever it's made out of, Gigai, that their wounds, injuries, it's easier to say, their injuries are then reflected on their Gigai as well. So, I don't know, it seems like a poor design choice, because they could have done something better.
Yeah, I agree, that is quite strange. But then maybe that's the only way that you can make a Gigai, is to have it functioning fully like you would a human body, I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's you talking about Yamichika's face though. I'd taken a note of that with like laughing faces all over my page where I've put who says I'm bald, like when
yes,
he gets called bald, and then it's just Yamichika's face in the background is priceless.
He's just like tee.
Yeah, he's smiling like he's seen this a billion times before and he knows how this is gonna go down and he's trying not to laugh. That's what he looks like.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, so if he's not got a buzz cut and he's not bald, Ikkaku, what do you class yourself as? Like, what are you just, like, are you in denial that you think you have this amazing mullet? Like...
Oh, it's funny. It's so funny. Yes, then that brings us into the fight with Grimmjow JAEGERJAQUEZ. And I will say his name like that every fucking time. And he's just toying with Ichigo. Like, he's literally just, like, toying with him. And there's a scene in the air. I can't believe I took the note of this, right? This is what happens when I do my notes, like, really late at night when I should be going to bed. Where he, like, punches Ichigo and we get, like, the blood splurt out of his mouth, and I was like, Ichigo's blood glows in the dark. So I wrote that down. But yeah, I think I do want to call to light actually the whole Bleach isn't afraid to show blood and like spit and everything, because when he gets properly pummeled like that, you just see the saliva and the blood coming out of his mouth. And there's
Yeah.
not a lot of shows that would take the time to animate saliva.
No. And like, I mean, it was heavily censored, but there was still enough there that you got this sense of there's a lot of fluids from this one person.
I'm guessing it was a lot less censored in the manga.
Yeah, there was a lot more blood.
And then Grimmjow just like punches him for fucking ages. But he also goes. I noticed a correlation between this scene and something that happened in Soul Society actually. Like when Grimmjow attacks him and he goes flying and he's just like going on and on for ages, like just battering himself across the floor as he's been pushed. And it's very similar to what happened to Chad when Kuraku like just flicked him in the Soul Society. Is that kind of same vibe? So I wonder if it was that. Because Chad went in the opposite direction. Like Chad was going across my screen heading right, and Ichigo was across my screen heading left. And I'm just thinking like these two scenes, if you put them side by side, would be very similar to each other. So I wonder if this is obviously their way of showing how powerful Grimmjow is and how out of his league Ichigo is at the moment compared to how Chad was when he went up against Kuraku. At least that's how I took it.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I see that.
But I want to call out, this is a bit that I mentioned when we were talking about the last episode that I wanted to really draw attention to was there's a moment when Grimmjow picks up Ichigo by like the front scruff of his like shihakusho, and he's lifting him up into the air, and Ichigo, like the anime just takes a moment to pause, and you can see the fear in Ichigo's face. Like it's just a couple of seconds, but you can see Ichigo, the way he's looking is just pure fear. And in that moment it was like, I don't know if it hit some sort of deep paternal instinct in me or something, but it was just in that moment that I was reminded that he's a 15-year-old boy. This is a wee laddie getting brutally attacked by a ghost. Effectively, you know?
Pretty much, yeah. And you can see that again when we get the kind of realization that Tatsuki is also watching this whole thing. And she's effectively standing back watching one of her childhood friends get pummeled. And I think like at that point she's probably feeling powerless because of what happened to her in the fight with when she encountered Yami and Okiura. She's got that kind of powerless feeling. She's a black belt in her martial arts, yet she's feeling powerless and can't help one of her best friends. And it strikes home that the fact that they are children, they are teenagers, they've got other things to worry about than ghosts and ghoulies. They should be worrying about entrance exams and getting a job and, real life stuff.
Yeah, it really does. It just, and I highly encourage anybody who missed it to go back and just just watch the few seconds when Grimmjow picks Ichigo up by that front scruff. Like just watch Ichigo's face. Just do it, because wow, it was very well animated. You didn't need in that moment. You didn't need like exposition to say, oh, you're really scared. You didn't need it because they animated it so fucking well that you could see it.
Yeah.
And as it happened, as he picks Ichigo up and we see that fear in his face, the soundtrack, soundscape to Ardor's playing in the background, and it is a really beautiful, haunting piece of music. Not quite to the degree of Nothing Can Be Explained, but it's still up there. It's still pretty up there. Gave me chills actually, that scene.
But then Ichigo, bless him, rescued by Tosin of all people.
Well, he's battling with his mask and everything as well, isn't he? Just before Tosin shows up. So
Yeah.
Grimmjow doesn't get to see the mask, but he does get to see Ichigo's Getsuga Tensho, which he says, oh, Ukiura didn't take note of that.
Yeah. But then you've also got like Ichigo. That's when Ichigo's kind of like, you realize that Ichigo is kind of limited because he's scared. You've got his hollow talking to him, and you've got the correlation between it's like more blacker around the edges, was it? I think. And he mentioned that this Getsuga Tensho is his, and he only has a couple more uses of it before the hollow wins out and the hollow completely takes over.
Yeah, because he does seem to say that like Getsuga Tensho is his move, and when he's talking about his move, he's referring to the hollow inside him, isn't he? Which I thought was quite an interesting point. You know, like the Shika, it was Zangetsu who taught him Getsuga Tensho. So what makes Ichigo think that it belongs to the hollow inside him?
Yeah.
But maybe it's just when he uses it, when he's using that much power, that's when he gets himself that much closer to being overtaken by the hollow. So that's what he means.
Possibly. Yeah, because like you can kind of see like the parts of his eyes, the blackness is taking
Yeah.
over, and it's like slowly making its way across his left eye. And
I
yeah,
I think that Ichigo's hollowification thing, like that hollow inside him that's trying to take over, I feel like that is reminiscent of when I was learning to snowboard. Let me explain. In snowboarding, if you think you're going to fall, you've already fallen. Right? You have to have, like, there has to be a level of complete confidence for you to maintain control when you're snowboarding. And especially when you're starting out. And if you think, oh, I've fallen, your body has already prepared you and you're already starting to tumble. So I think it's very similar in that sense that the minute he thinks, oh no, here it comes, he's already losing that fight.
yeah, yeah. It's all to do with like your mental mindset and your
Anxiety.
perception of what it is.
Yes, absolutely. It's a mental fight. It's a total mental fight, and I think this is why it's almost metaphorical for depression and anxiety and everything, and those daily struggles that we face with each day where we doubt ourselves, or we don't believe in our own abilities, or we're scared of what we are capable of doing. It's really you could really delve into that is metaphorical speaking part of what his hollow stands for inside of him. To lighten the note on the back of that, Renji comes in, and this is Renji's logic. Did you win? Ichigo says no. Renji, well, you wouldn't be alive if you lost. Well, why the fuck ask him?
Yeah.
You could see he's alive, so he obviously won by your standards.
Which like it's kind of funny that Renji says that, and he's been in the 11th, and he was trained by Ikaku, and he's worked under Kenpachi and all that. Whereas their logic is, you're lucky if you survive. It's not like you won; it's that you're lucky. Whereas Renji's like, oh, you won because you're alive. So I think that's kind of more like optimistic than the luckiness.
Yeah, and I also think it's interesting that they call it lucky and not just skill. Like there's an element of skill in there; it's not just luck.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, those are most of my notes. All I've got left is like the post-credit scene. But have you got anything else for this episode?
Nope. Just just the fact that Tosin just casually opens up a portal to Hueco Mundo, and like, is this the first time as well that we get confirmation? Because Grimmjow goes, "I'm going home to Hueco Mundo," and it was just such like a standalone line. Is that the first time we're hearing that this other world is called Hueco Mundo? I can't remember if we heard it.
I think you're right. I do think that this is the first time we're actually getting that knowledge. Because I don't think we got it. The only other people we could have gotten it from was Ukiura, but I don't think they did say it. I think they just said they were going back.
So yeah, and then Tosin just comes in, and he like does this something that we've always attributed to hollows, because you've got the Menos Grande who were coming through, and they opened up this like kind of teeth door to allow Aizen and the other defectors to go up, and then you've got the scene when Ishida crushes the hollow bait and they're all coming through, and then you got Tosin who just kind of like clicks his fingers and opens this door similar to how they would open up the Senkaiman with the hell butterflies and going through there. You've just got Tosin doing, I don't know, it seemed very strange that this Soul Reaper, or ex-Soul Reaper, but he's still technically a Soul Reaper because that's what he is, just can open up a portal to a world of hollows.
Yeah. Makes you wonder what other powers he has developed since defecting with Aizen, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably a good thing. It adds more things, but can you imagine if he couldn't and he just came through and he's like, yeah, we're going home. I'm taking you home, but can you open the door first? Because, you're the hollow.
That'd be quite funny, though. That would be really funny to comment on.
And Grimmjow's like, no, I want to stay and fight.
I want to stay, yeah, I'm staying. No, Mum, you can't make me. Oh, gosh, that's good. So the only thing I had then was the post-credit scenes, and I know that this is in the manga as well, so it's taken from the manga, where we actually get Hanatero's Shikai.
Yes.
Which is, I'm going to butcher the name of this, I'm going to try and say it right, Hisagomaru. Hisagomaru.
Hisagomaru? Yeah.
Hisagomaru, yeah. Which heals the wounds when it hits, which sounds ridiculous, but it absorbs the power, and then it releases it when the gauge goes full, and it turns like into a small form, which is Ikiro Hisagemaru.
Yeah, it's like a cute little scalpel knife.
Yeah, it's like a tiny little scalpel, and then it uses that to like launch all the attack back. And I'm sitting here like, bitch, where was your Shikai when you could have been healing all of Ichigo's wounds and Ganju's wounds, and then using that as an attack back at somebody?
Oh my gosh, yes. And like, it's a very fitting Shikai for someone who was in the 4th division.
It is. It's perfect for him.
It's so cute. And I mean, I know it's like, it's not technically Hanato at that point, because it's Kon who's like possessed him. But yeah, you can just imagine like the actual Hanato just being all cute about it.
Yeah, that actually reminds me, I had this thought at 2 a.m. when I woke up this morning, right through the night, and it came to me and I couldn't get it out of my head. How exactly do the Shinigami get the mod souls out of their bodies? Like, because we've seen Ichigo have to force his fist down Kon's throat in his plushy form to get the mod soul out of his body. Mm-hmm. So, like, do they just do the fingers at the back of the throat to vomit the soul candy back up? Or do they...
I wonder if they, like, take it in turns, because Rukia has that glove, right? Mm-hmm. With that symbol on it, and...
That's just for removing the soul out of the body, though. That doesn't say anything for a mod soul or a...
But I wonder if it works the same way. And they just take it in turns to slap each other. because that would take the Gikon out of, like, would take the soul candy out of the soul body, out of the Gigai.
Yeah, because Ichigo's soul pass does the same thing, and we've seen that used on Kon before, so you're right.
And then they just kind of merge with the actual soul and just kind of like assimilate.
Yeah. These are my 2 a.m. thoughts. It's just souls being like, well, better shove my fingers down my throat, like, you know.
I can't remember because there's a scene, and I don't know if we've come across this scene yet, but it is of Renji trying to get back into his Gigai. And I can't remember if it's from the Bount arc, if it's like a filler episode, or if we haven't come across it yet, but there was a scene.
It sounds like filler, because I'm quite far in the watch through with Swift, and I don't remember that, and we're only watching canon.
Okay, so yeah, then there's this scene then that Renji is attempting to kind of get back into his Gigai, but he's doing it all rushed-like, and he's just kind of like, it's almost like putting on a pair of trousers, and he's just like hugging it from behind.
Yeah. That sounds like Renji.
I want to see if I can find a clip of it now and just like send it to you.
Yes, please do. But that's all I have.
Okay, I've just got manga anime differences.
Yeah.
Of which there isn't a lot. I mean, these 2 episodes were pretty good. It was just like extra bits to make the episode longer. But the anime kind of went out of continuity. Because we had the introduction of Keigo's sister a lot earlier. whereas in the manga it's at the end. The anime had it halfway through.
Okay.
Which kind of left a cute little panel when at the end we see Rangiku, who's picked up Rukia, and she's running to Orihime so Orihime can heal Rukia. The manga has that panel as well, but then the next panel is a cute little Yumichika is helping Ikkaku. They're still both in soul form, and he's just like, they're just both hobbling down the street, and he's like helping him to safety, which I thought was really cute.
Aww.
And then the Grimmjow fight is so much longer. In the manga, we don't actually get that look of fear. We don't get any of the flashbacks. It was very kind of long with the whole punchings and the excruciatingly long walk that Grimmjow made to get to Ichigo. All of that was anime and just kind of fleshed out. And at some points, I did think it was a little bit too long with the whole punching.
Agreed. There was a point where I was like, okay. And I knew that you were going to bring this up in manga and anime differences, because this is classic Bleach filler. Yeah.
I think what they did the last time with the Ikkaku fights was how they elongated them. It didn't seem as noticeable as this. This was kind of reminiscent to the whole Yoruichi eating scene where she's just scoffing her face.
Yep.
That's what it reminded me of, and it didn't work in this sense, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, and then we got a new ending as well, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
So we got both an opening and an ending, and it was too much of a shock to my system. I couldn't take it.
Oh.
I don't know these songs as well. I can't sing them at the top of my lungs.
Oh. Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I've got nothing more for this, so.
Yeah, no, just. Yeah.
Is that you with the anime manga differences, or was there anything else?
Nope, that was it, just the three of them.
Awesome.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot.
Alright, delving into the Dangai then. Do we have anything?
Other than the manga?
Yeah!
Oh, it's like, oh my gosh, we've actually got news to share. We've got excitement times. We've got this like whole new chapter coming, and it's like at this point I don't care what the content is. I'm just excited that there's a spark of life and there's hope and there's something to cling to and look forward to, and it's going to be amazing because it's like Kubo's own work.
Yes, you're speaking like a Squad 13 person right now. The hope and the light and the.
I'll need to defect and join another fandom to get my fifth back. I don't know.
But yeah, no, you're right. It's good to have light at the end of the tunnel and something come out, because this dropped. Like, this just fucking dropped, didn't it? Like, I remember everybody was messaging me on the server like, oh my god, have you seen this? And I'm like, I'm not saying anything until it comes from a legitimate source. I am not getting my hopes up, because we're talking about it being 73 chapters and things, but we've not got confirmation on that from a legitimate source yet.
Yeah, because we started like seeing all these unofficial drops. Of like leaks and everything, and it's a case of we're not getting our hopes up until Shonen Jump themselves has confirmed, and then we finally got it on their Twitter that it was confirmed and coming in Shonen Jump. It's like this bumper Shonen Jump of episodes 35 and 36 have been combined, I think, and it's gonna be in that.
And that's going to be dropping this Thursday. Is it Thursday the 10th? No, it's not Thursday. It's Tuesday the 10th.
Yeah.
Tuesday the 10th. And let me go and find, because I found a website that told you where you could go to get it. So give me a second till I get that up. So it is confirmed. This is Bleach's 20th anniversary special chapter. And it is going to be released at midnight JST on Tuesday the 10th of August this year.
So that's going to be 4 p.m. on Monday for us.
It should be available on your sort of usual platforms. So if you've got shonen content or shonen, like if you're able to get shonen magazines, then obviously it will be there. It will also be on Vizzy's website as well. if you are going to be reading the Shonen Jump content directly from their website, then you have to remember that there is a monthly fee. How are you going to be getting this, Nomi?
I've got a monthly subscription to the Shonen Jump.
Okay. And Shonen Jump gives you in English and Japanese, doesn't it?
I haven't found the Japanese options. I just read everything in English.
Okay.
But there's
so
probably like something in my settings.
That's fine. That's where I will be going for it anyway. So yes, just keep that in mind, everybody. That's going to be exciting. I can't wait.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
That is good. There's a little tweet here actually from Alison, so I'm going to just give them a little shout out where they say, "The sun is shining, my skin is clear, Bleach is coming back for a new page chapter in the upcoming issue of Shonen Jump."
Aww.
Which I'm like, that's fucking cute.
Cute.
But yeah, was there anything else for the delving into the Dangai, or did we just get totally sidetracked by that?
I think we just got totally sidetracked by that. I've not seen anything else, like no official anime sources, return dates or anything, but hopefully, maybe because we're getting this, we might get a date soon or for that.
That would be great. I think that's what we're all holding out for as well. But yeah, the manga returning is still really good. Right. Okay. Well then, will we come into our Shinigami Cup Peroxide edition?
Yes, we shall.
Okay. So who wore it best this week then, Nomi?
So my who wore it best is actually in the new ending that we got, and they're all kind of wearing like new kind of clothes, and then there's a specific one where you've got a really cute Yachiru kind of inhabiting like her inner punk, and then you've got Soifon behind her, and she's like almost like a gothic Lolita maid outfit on, and it's so adorable and so cute, and it's just all their different outfits, because I like it when you see characters like wearing something from the world of the living and how they would, what their kind of personality would wear. So yeah, it's my who wore best is everybody in the end credits in the new ending that we got.
Awesome. And you're right, everybody's outfits in it look brilliant. They look great.
Yeah.
Even Karine and Yuzu as well look good in it.
Oh, they look like Yuzu's just looked adorable. I was like, I would wear that. Oh, it's so cute.
And I see what you mean about Yachiru's punk.
Yeah.
Kenny looks great, and even Byakuya looks top. He always looks top though.
He does. Right,
cool, okay, so that was your who wore it best. My who wore it best was Ikaku's face worn through Mizuho's lenses.
All shiny and like filtered. It's like a Snapchat filter.
It is, that's exactly what it's like. What about your best ship then?
My best ship is... Oh, I didn't write it down. I have an arrow pointing, but I didn't actually write it down. So my best ship was Ichigo's face and Grimmjow's fist.
Love that one. My best ship is Bleach's critics and their inability to comprehend Gentei Kaijo.
Yamamoto and his bath. Yeah.
Yeah. What about your double take?
Uwu.
Do you know what? That's a bloody good one.
Yeah. Child soldiers, just how strong she was and the strength. Yeah, just uwu.
Yeah. Mine's is going to come as no surprise to anybody that mine's was Ichigo's look of fear whilst being held up by Grimmjow.
Yeah.
Like, that's, even although it wasn't in the manga, that is solid filler content. Like, just, you don't have to spoon feed us everything, you can just animate it well.
Yes.
And we'll understand it. Cool. And then your fandom shout out then.
So my fandom shout out comes from Twitter, and it is the artists called Hazel and Didi. And they have some really cute kind of chibi art, but they've also done some amazing characters wearing glasses. So this is the chibi art, and it's like Rukia and Byakuya just like playing in a little paddling pool. But then here's a style of their other ones. This one is a little bit spoilerish, but I've chosen this one just for you, Lethan.
Oh my god, wait. Oh my god.
So this is Toshiro wearing glasses, and then there's also a character that we haven't met who's also wearing glasses.
Oh yeah.
And
This
I
art
just
is just fucking good.
right, and you've got
Their
the two
art.
different art styles. You've got the chibi styles, but then you've also got this like more kind of sophisticated type of art style, and it's just so good.
Oh my god, their display picture is adorable. Holy fucking shit.
So yeah, this is Hazel and Didi, and on Twitter they're at HazelDidi_art.
Whoa, 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 whoa. They've only got 180 followers. Are you serious? On Twitter? Right, everybody, I don't care what you stop what you're doing. Go into the show notes. If you're on like Google Pod or whatever, like a platform that doesn't give you our show notes, then bloody look us up on YouTube or Spotify where you do get our show notes. Jump into our description, click on that link, go and give these guys a follow because holy cow, they are phenomenally talented. Holy
So
shitballs.
good. And they deserve all the love.
Oh
Honestly.
my god, they've even got like a little animation of like a baby Grimmjow trying to stand up.
Yeah, it's so cute.
I am not emotionally prepared to be looking at this right now. It's the wrong time of the month for this.
Oh.
I'm gonna start crying. Okay, we're putting that away. That's so cute. Oh my god, you guys, you have to go and give this one a follow. Good shout out, Nomi. Holy cow, their art is so fucking good. Wonder if they do commissions.
They have a Redbubble.
They have a Redbubble.
I'm
Awesome.
seriously gonna go, like, I saw the Redbubble and I was like, I'm gonna go on this Redbubble later and just see what I can get, because, oh my gosh. Like,
Literally,
I want a cute Shinji chibi at this point. Like,
oh my god, they've got stickers and stuff. And I would say there's big spoilers on the Redbubble. Like when as soon as you click on it, there's big spoilers. But if you're for people that know everything, they're so good. I can't even talk about like some of the ones I'm seeing because they're so spoilery. But holy shit! Oh my god! Oh my god! Look at! Oh my god! They didn't. Oh my god! They didn't. They actually have a strawberry Ichigo. Like a strawberry sticker.
oh my gosh.
Oh my god, I can't be dealing with. I just can't. I don't think they've got. I don't see any T-shirt things. I just see stickers mostly. But I'm definitely going to be exploring that.
Yeah. I mean,
sure,
I can't
for
take the
sure.
whole credit for finding this. I did find it in our media share on Discord. So a shout out to Elsie for sharing these in our media share. But definitely worth giving them a shout as well, because just the whole Twitter is amazing, and I can't wait to go search the Redbubble later.
Yeah, Hazel and Didi, we are coming for you. The Seireitei is coming for you because holy shit, you need way more followers. Your art is fucking phenomenal. Right. Funnily enough, my piece is also an art piece as well. This is one that I saw. I remember seeing this one ages and ages ago, back before we'd met Grimmjow as a character, and this was like when I was first sort of watching Bleach through. And I remember thinking that the other character that Ichigo was with in this was actually Toshiro because of the slight height difference. But then I realised, oh no, wait, it's Grimmjow. So they've done this piece of art, and the reason why I love it so much is the lighting and the style of the art is great. But it's spoiler free, and it is Ichigo and Grimmjow, and it's like just the two of them in sort of like an alternate type universe sort of setting. It's really interesting. Ichigo's got like a really cool jacket on, and he's like holding this like, I want to say it's not a lightsaber. It's not a lightsaber, but it's like the equivalent of like some sort of sword with light.
Yeah, I was gonna say something, but that's very spoilerish. But it does remind me of something that we're gonna see soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, the lighting in this piece is beautiful. Like the backdrop is so dark and the characters are lit so well, and the shadow casting across their artwork is just beautiful.
It's like, yeah, they're in Hey Mundo and they're going through the doors to the other side, I feel like, because it's kind of got the same kind of shape.
It does. Yeah, you're right. It's really interesting. So, anyway, this is called Shall We End It? And the person's name, they've got a very unusual name on DeviantArt, and it seems to be IFrAgMenTIx. But I will be leaving the link and the name and everything in our show notes, so please make sure that you go and check them out too.
Oh, it's so good. And
So
it's
good.
perfect because this weekend, the 7th and the 8th of August, is actually Grimmjow weekend in our Seireitei server.
Hey, so it ties in
Yay.
perfectly then. That's
Yeah.
great. This person has phenomenal art in general. Like, not just like they've got so many Bleach pieces, but they've got some regular pieces of art too. They've done some for like My Hero Academia and things as well. So I really recommend just going and checking them out. They've done like Attack on Titan pieces and stuff too. So
Oh, that
just go
Mayoi
and check them out.
piece.
Yeah, there's
Tell
some really phenomenal
Yeah.
pieces. Again, if you look through there's some spoilers there for Bleach too. Um, but there is a really beautiful one of Ichigo and a version of a character we've still yet to see. But again, it's the lighting. Like, this is beautiful pieces of art. Absolutely beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't mind spoilers, definitely go and check them out. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Any more for any more?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Just have fun, guys, when you get to read the if you've read it already, just
The
enjoy it,
chapter.
live it.
Oh my
Content.
god. Yeah. And if you are in our server, just a little reminder to any of the server beans who are listening to the podcast, we would really appreciate it if you guys kept any of the spoilers marked to spoilers in the Bleach Only chat channel. That would be great. Thank you.
Yes.
But yes, cool. Okay then. Well, you wonderful souls, that is the end of another episode. If you like what you heard and you want to get involved, you can find us by searching for TheSeireitei on Facebook, Tumblr, and Instagram, and TSeireitei on Twitter. Each of these platforms will link you to our fantastically deadly Discord family, where you can chat with us about the show, read fan fiction, take part in creative challenges, and talk anything and everything Bleach, including new chapter stuff, which is very exciting. Now, Ichigo and Rukia might reap souls, but we are hoping to reap some 5-star reviews, and that is where you come in. Make like our favourite orange-haired protector and Ichigo to iTunes to rate us, review us, and make us feel like number one. To those of you listening on YouTube, don't forget to be like Chad and give us that good thumbs up. We really appreciate it. On the next episode of the podcast, we'll be covering anime episodes 122, Visored, The Power of the Awakened, 123, Ichigo, Complete Holification, and 124, Collision, Black Bankai and the White Bankai. We'll see you souls then. Till next time. Bye. Grimmjow, JAEGERJAQUEZ!